So let's move on to the next question, guys. In this question, we are given that we have to select two people out of total 10 employees, right? And we are also given that the number of women is greater than 5. The probability that both people who have been selected will be men is less than 1 upon 10, and probability both selected will be women is equals to P. And we have to compare P and 1 upon 2, right? So tell me one thing, that total employees is how many? Total employees is equals to 10, right? Total employees is equals to 10. And we are also given that the number of women is greater than 5, right? So what if I tell you, let's say this is women, this is men, right? So if number of women is greater than 5, that means they can be 6, 7, 8, 9 or 10, right? So one case is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? Because there are total 10 people, so maybe the case is that all 10 are women, right? Now if there are 6 women, how many men will be there? Obviously 4, because 6 plus 4 is 10. 7, 3, 8, 2, 9, 1, 10, 0. I hope this makes pretty good sense, right? Okay, now tell me one thing. It is given that probability that both people whom we select will be men is less than 1 upon 10, right? And we have to compare this. So tell me one thing. For example, if we select men, right? So what will be the probability for the first case? We are selecting two people, right? And the probability both will be men. So in this case, what will be the probability? The probability will be 4C2 upon 10C2. I hope this should be pretty clear, because there are four men and we have to select two men out of those, and total is 10 people and we have to select two people out of the total 10 people. So this is the probability that both people who will be selected will be men, right? Similarly, let's talk about this case. In this case, there are three people, right? Three men. So how many ways can be there in which we can select two men out of three men? It will be 3C2, and total are again 7 plus 3, 10, so 10C2. I hope this should be pretty clear, right? Similarly, what is this? 2C2 upon 10C2. And yeah, I mean, this is a probability, right? For example, in this case, you cannot select two people because there is only one man. So you obviously cannot select two men out of one man over there. And if there are 0 men, obviously, how will you select any man? So let's not talk about these two cases, right? Okay. So now if you see and solve this, right, how much will this be? What is firstly 10C2? So 10C2 is equals to 10 into 9 upon 2, 45, right? So 10C2 is what? 45. And what is 4C2? 4C2 is 4 into 3 upon 2 into 1, 6. So this is 6 upon 45. If you solve this, this becomes 3 2s are 315, the 2 upon 15, right? So you get 2 upon 15 for this part. If you talk about this, this becomes 3 upon 45, which is 1 upon 15, because 3C2 is 3 and 10C2 is 45, so 115, right? Similarly, 2C2, what is 2C2? 2C2 is nothing but 1, right? And 10C2 is 45, obviously. So this becomes your possible 3 cases, right? Now tell me one thing. We are given that probability that both selected will be men is less than 1 upon 10, right? So tell me, in all these cases, which are the cases in which the probability is less than 1 upon 10? If you compare it to 1 upon 10, right? So obviously this is completely fine. This is completely fine. This is not fine because 2 upon 15 is greater than 1 upon 10, right? But we want the probability to be less than 1 upon 10. So in these two cases, the probability is less than 1 upon 10, right? So for the question up till here, we know two things. that either this is the possible case which corresponds to this, or this is the possible case which corresponds to this, right? I hope this should be pretty clear, right? So now, earlier we were given that there are more than 5 women. So there were 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? And if there are 6 women, there are 4 men, 3, 2, 1, 0, right? We were also given that the probability will be less than 1 upon 10 if both are men. Using this, we even came up with the idea that only these two cases are possible, that there can either be 7 women and 3 men, or 8 women and 2 men, right? So up till here the question should be pretty good. Now we have to find out the probability both people who are selected will be women, right? So for example, if I talk about this case, right? So we have to select 2 women because these two are the only possible cases, right? Now, for example, let's talk about this case. If we have to select 2 women, what is the probability? The probability will be 7C2 because there are 7 women and we have to select 2 upon total people are 10. So 10C2, right? And if I talk about this case, there are 8 women, we have to select 2. So 8C2 upon, there are total 10 people, so 10C2. Right, I hope this should be pretty fine. Now if you solve this, so what is 7C2? 7C2 is 7 factorial upon 2 factorial, 5 factorial. So this becomes 7 into 6 upon 2, right? Because you can write 7 into 6 into 5 factorial, 5 factorial, 5 factorial gets cancelled out. So you get this. So this becomes 21 upon 45. So if you cut 21 upon 45, this will be what? 7 upon 15, right? So this becomes 7 upon 15. And if you talk about 8C2 upon 10C2, what is 8C2? 8C2 is 8 into 7 upon 2, which is 28. So this becomes 28 upon 45, right? This becomes 28 upon 45. I hope this should be pretty clear, right? Okay. And now this is what? This is P, right? So these are the two possible values of P. So either P can be this or P can be this. These are two possible values of P. And we have to compare P with 1 upon 2, right? So if you compare this with 1 upon 2, obviously this is greater and this is smaller. If you compare this with 1 upon 2, 15 into 1 is 15, 2 into 7 is 14. So obviously this side is greater, this side is smaller, so this is smaller. If you compare this, so 45 into 1 is 45, 2 into 28 is 56. So obviously this part is bigger, right? I hope this should be pretty clear. So basically, if we talk about this case, the probability, the value of P is less than 1 upon 2, right? And if I talk about this case, the value of P, which is the probability, is greater than 1 upon 2. So sometimes the answer is greater, sometimes the answer is smaller. That is why your final answer becomes what? D. Because sometimes the value of P is greater than 1 by 2, sometimes it is less than 1 upon 2. So sometimes the answer is A, sometimes the answer is B. So that is why your final answer becomes D. So what we did is that we saw multiple cases, right? We used this condition to even further short down the cases to only these two possible cases. After we had these two possible cases, then we found out the probability P and we compared. So we found out that this case, the probability P is smaller, and in this case, the probability P is bigger than 1 upon 2. So that is why the answer becomes D. So I hope this should be absolutely clear.